Week 5 of the fantasy football season is upon us, and now it's time again to talk some running backs that we should start and sit here for Week 5. What is going on, everybody? Jake, Fantasy Headliners. Hopefully everybody's doing well out there in YouTube land, and here we go again. Another week in the books. Now we're kicking off Week 5, and we're talking about some running backs that we should start and sit in this week's lineups. I got every game queued up here, and we'll go through each one of them game by game, and I'll give you my start-sit designation for each running back in these games. But before I do, real quick, after this video is over, head over to the RotoBaller YouTube channel. Click that subscribe button and get ready for some more awesome content over there all week long. I'll do multiple shows over there with more in-depth analysis, and then don't forget about the Sunday live shows. They're a huge hit, huge viewership, and if you're looking for something with last-minute, injury updates, weather updates, start-sit advice, interaction with you guys, that's where you need to be on Sunday mornings. Make sure you go check it out. Go there after this video is over, and make sure you hit the subscribe button there also. One last thing before I get into this list, and I said in my waiver wire video, and I'm going to say it again in my start-sit videos this week. I help supply perspective for these start-sits. I'm not telling you or making you do anything. These are your teams, your decisions. I'm just trying to make those decisions a little bit easier. I don't know if I need to get all the hate mail if I don't get 100% correct. I can own up to my mistakes, and I can tell you right now I'm not going to be 100% correct all the time. But I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to be humble about it, and I'm not going to be a used car salesman trying to sell you on my opinions. I'm just trying to help you guys make better choices. Sometimes it's going to work out, sometimes it's not. That's why it's fantasy football. That's why we play it. If we were winning every single week without any, contest, it wouldn't be much fun. It's part of the fun. But now, let's talk some start-sit running backs here for Week 5. Let's kick it off on Thursday Night Football. You got the Colts at the Patriots. We'll start off on the Colts side of the football, and I'm going to be honest. I really don't care who the starting running back is for the Indianapolis Colts, whether it's Jordan Wilkins or Robert Turp. I don't care. I want nothing to do with that person. Who I do want to have something to do with is Nyheim Hines. You guys kind of saw it last week. The dude came out and put up crazy numbers. Did the majority of it as a pass catcher. So if you're in a PPR league and you're looking for a running back, Nyheim Hines is perfect for you. But he still has value in all different types of league formats. Yes, he's going to take most of his snaps from the slot. He may be put in motion out of the backfield. Regardless of what it is, though, he's going to be involved in the game plan. I'm definitely starting Nyheim Hines this week, especially with the word coming out that T.Y. Hilton may not play. If T.Y. Hilton is out, Andrew Luck and the Colts are going to have to throw the ball against the New England Patriots, and Nyheim Hines is somebody who could get a big bump in production with T.Y. being out. So I'm going to start Nyheim Hines, and anybody else on that roster that's a running back, pass. On the Patriots side of the football, it's a little bit different, right? Usually in years past, you're scratching your head every week trying to figure out whose turn is it going to be in the Bill Belichick offense to score some points. Well, now you have Sony Michel and James White, who are both capable of standalone value week to week. James White is heavily involved in the passing game. That should take a slight hit with the return of Julian Edelman. Josh Gordon's taking a step forward. Still have Rob Gronkowski, who is banged up with an ankle injury. Whether he plays or is limited this week, we still don't know for sure. But both of these guys have value. Sony Michel is somebody who can get you close to 20 carries every single week going forward. There's not too many running backs in the NFL getting you 20 carries a week. James White is heavily productive in the passing game, and he's somebody who will continually to be used by Tom Brady in passing situations. I like both of these guys this week. I actually like both of them going forward. Sony Michel and James White are both starts for me here for Week 5. Moving on to Sunday, you got the Tennessee Titans at the Buffalo Bills, and normally this is a game where you'd like to fire up the Tennessee Titan running backs. But does anybody really want to fire up Derrick Henry right now? Not a whole lot of people. I had concerns with him here in the preseason. Wasn't too high on him on draft day, and a lot of people thought he was going to get a big bulk of the workload here in Tennessee. And we didn't really know how he was going to coexist with Dion Lewis. Now we have an idea of how he's going to coexist, and he's going to do it by not coexisting at all. He's basically disappeared. I have no interest in Derrick Henry. He's borderline droppable for me at this point. The only reason he's not a for sure drop is because if something happens to Dion Lewis, who does have an injury past, Derrick Henry all of a sudden becomes somebody who has RB2 value in the fantasy football world. But for now, Dion Lewis is the only one that I want to own. He was highly involved in the pass game last week with 9 receptions, and he's going to be that way going forward. They're going to throw the ball a lot there in Tennessee going forward. You kind of saw it last week, right? Corey Davis had a good game. Taywan Taylor had a good game. Like I just said, Dion Lewis had 9 receptions. This is going to have to be how the offense moves the ball going forward, and I like Dion Lewis, especially in PPR leagues. So if you haven't been able to tell by now, I'm going to sit Derrick Henry, and I will start Dion Lewis, especially in PPR leagues. He has a lot more value. On the Bills side of the football, let me tell you this. I would rather be audited on my taxes than own or start LaShawn McCoy or Chris Ivory. Nothing against Buffalo. This backfield is a mess. This team is kind of a mess. They look great one week, horrible the next. I don't know what Buffalo team is going to show up, and I don't want to deal with the headache on game day. I'm not starting either one of these guys, and I am for sure, if I haven't already, I'm trying to trade Shady McCoy to somebody, anybody, any takers. Kind of reminds me of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, just going Bueller. Yeah, nobody wants Shady McCoy. Falcons and Steelers are next, and the Falcons' offense has looked ridiculously good. Calvin Ridley is like the new Julio Jones, but the running game has been kind of There's not a whole lot of firepower. When Devontae Freeman went out, Tevin Coleman almost automatically catapulted himself up to close to RB1 status. And then he's done nothing but disappoint week after week since Devontae Freeman has been out. There's rumors that Freeman could play this week. And if he does, I really don't like this backfield at all. It could be more close to a 50-50 split. And with Freeman coming off of a knee injury, it's possible that he's limited. With that being said, I don't know if I really want to start Devontae Freeman. On the other side of the ball, Tevin Coleman, if Devontae Freeman is playing, he's eating into Coleman's touches, and Coleman hasn't been productive with all of the work. What's going to happen when you take half of it away? That makes me want to sit Tevin Coleman also. Now, if word comes out that Devontae Freeman will sit again, then I'm going to go ahead and start Tevin Coleman this week. However, if Devontae Freeman is a start, if he's in the Atlanta lineup, I'm going to sit both of these guys this week, kind of see how it plays out, and then pick it back up again in week 6 and make my decision then. On the Steelers side of the football, you got James Conner still. Everybody's all up in arms. They're so excited. There's news coming out that Le'Veon Bell could possibly come back after the bye week in week 8. Will you chill out? There's no guarantee of that. Just because somebody had a report say it doesn't mean it's all of a sudden going to happen. There's a lot of people also saying that he was going to report week 1, and that didn't quite work out so well for people. I am not hopping back on the Le'Veon Bell bandwagon yet. Now, if you can go trade for him and barely give up anything, it's a stash. It's a lottery ticket. It's possible. Personally, as of right now, only week 5, I don't see Le'Veon Bell playing for the Steelers anymore, like ever. There's got to be a trade. They're not going to all of a sudden just, forgive each other, shake hands. Le'Veon Bell's going to go out there, get you 30 touches a game, huge fantasy points. It's not going to work out that way. There's more to this story. But right now, it's about James Conner, who's been, very unproductive with his opportunity here as of late. But he's going up against a Falcons defense that is just decimated by injuries. And the Pittsburgh offense in general just doesn't seem to be clicking very well. James Conner's going to get a chance. He's going to get the opportunities, and he is a start for me this week. However, because you probably picked him off waivers anyway, I wouldn't trust him as any more than a flex play this week. His upside is just limited. He has that potential for a big game this week. It's a great opportunity. He's just underwhelmed lately. But I still am going to start him. Cross my fingers, hope for the best. He still could be the starting running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers for the remainder of the year. Broncos and Jets are next, so we'll start off with the Broncos, talk about Royce Freeman and Phillip Lindsay. Right now I have both of these guys as starts for week 5. A lot of people are still up in arms and upset about Royce Freeman. Why is this guy not what we thought he was going to be? He kind of is. He averaged 8 yards a carry last week, and he looked good, had a touchdown. He's just not getting the volume. There's not too many running backs outside of maybe Nick Chubb that can go up and put triple-digit numbers up with single-digit carries. It just doesn't happen very often. But he's looked good. He just needs the opportunity. The problem is Phillip Lindsay is basically in a 50-50 split with him. Phillip Lindsay has slightly more value, though, because he's more involved in the passing game in Denver. I like both of these guys. Both are solid flex plays for me for week 5 against a Jets team that will probably keep this a close game. It's not a high-powered offense like it was with the Chiefs. This could be a lot more ground and pound style game. I do expect more running this week. The touchdown upside is there for both of them, and I am starting Royce Freeman and Phillip Lindsay. On the Jets side of the football, you have Isaiah Crowell and Bilal Powell. Crowell seems to be in a little bit of trouble with his head coach, Todd Bowles, probably for his touchdown celebration 2 weeks ago where he took the football, used it as toilet paper on his rear end, and then threw it into the Cleveland crowd. I mean that figuratively, he did not literally do that. However, it kind of resulted in what happened last week. 4 carries for 0 yards for Isaiah Crowell, which is not what you would call productive. I'd much rather start Bilal Powell this week, someone who's been more consistent in that offense. He's more involved in the passing game, and he fits the scheme of that offense a little bit better this week against the Denver Broncos. They're going to have to throw the ball. They're not going to be a whole lot of running lanes for Isaiah Crowell, who is highly touchdown dependent this week. And Bilal Powell has a little bit more of an upside and should be more involved in the game plan. I'm going to sit Isaiah Crowell and start Bilal Powell this week. Jags and Chiefs are next. You got the battle of one of the best defenses against one of the best offenses in football. And you got the whole Leonard Fournette injury. He hasn't been ruled out yet. I hope he does sit, though. I know that may be hard for you Leonard Fournette owners, but personally, I would rather have him sit for a few weeks, get healthy, come back, be 100%, and at least I know I can count on you week to week. Right now, if he plays, there's that chance that he can't finish the game, which really makes decisions tough on Sundays. TJ Yeldon, on the other hand, is somebody who I am very, very comfortable starting this week. They're going to have to throw the ball in Jacksonville. Blake Bortles has looked like a quarterback at times, and TJ Yeldon's going to be highly involved. They're going to have to put up some points against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, yes, that defense in Jacksonville is elite. However, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are a pretty good offense. They're going to score some points regardless. It may not be a really high-scoring game, but nowadays you just have no idea. TJ Yeldon's going to fit this game plan a lot better. I can see a lot of action out of the backfield for him, somewhere in the range of 10 to 15 carries and anywhere from 6 to 10 catches, in the passing game. And that is great, great upside for somebody that you can plug in, especially if you do have Leonard Fournette. I feel very comfortable starting TJ Yeldon this week. On the Chiefs side of the football, you have Kareem Hunt. If you have Kareem Hunt going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars, you're probably a little worried just because of that defense. You're still going to start Kareem Hunt, but you need to temper expectations. He may have one of those games where he may not get a whole lot of yardage, but in that offense, led by Patrick Mahomes and all the weapons they have, he's going to get the opportunities around the goal line, and you just can't sit Kareem Hunt in this offense right now. Patrick Mahomes has proven that he can make everybody in that offense, worthy of a fantasy football start, and Kareem Hunt's is no different. You need to start Kareem Hunt this week. Packers and Lions are next. You got Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams. It's starting to transition into the Aaron Jones backfield there in Green Bay. You heard it from Aaron Rodgers. They want to get him the ball more there, and he is the more explosive running back. You probably drafted him. You probably hung on to him here for a few weeks, hoping to use him. The time is slowly coming. They're going up against a Detroit defense, run defense that's been highly inconsistent, and I like the ability of Aaron Jones going forward. With Aaron Rodgers leading that offense, the defense can't stack the box with defenders. They have to play the passing game with Aaron Rodgers. That's going to open things up for Aaron Jones, and he's going to slowly start getting more and more work each week. I'm going to start Aaron Jones this week against the Detroit Lions, but I'm going to sit Jamal Williams. On the Lions side of the football, you have Kerryon Johnson and LeGarrette Blount. Kerryon Johnson looks amazing, but for some reason, we don't get to see him very much. Why are they not playing Kerryon Johnson more? Why are they not giving him more work? I don't understand it. Matt Patricia even came out here recently and said they're fine with the amount of work that he's getting. I don't understand that. I don't get it. There's no reason for it. They need to give the ball to Kerryon Johnson more. The one downfall in that offense as far as running back goes is they're very, very heavy on the pass. They got 3 receivers capable of getting 1,000 yards this year, and for that reason alone, going up against the Green Bay Packers offense that has the potential to put up some points. Now, whether Geronimo Allison and Randall Cobb play and with their injuries, it's up in the air. If they do, Aaron Rodgers is going to have a few weapons at his disposal where he could put up some points against a weaker Detroit defense, leading to more passing in Detroit, which could limit the upside of both running backs. I'm going to sit Kerryon Johnson and LeGarrette Blount. Ravens and Browns are next. You got Alex Collins and Uncle Buck Allen. In this game, I would much rather start Buck Allen, to be completely honest. Alex Collins has looked great at times. And then there's times he looks not great at all with his fumbling issue. He's going to start losing carries because he cannot hang on to the football, which is highly, highly irritating. Because like I said, at times he looks like he could be a top-tier running back, and then at times he looks like he's never played football in his life. In a game this week where they're going up against the Cleveland Browns, who have a much improved offense with Baker Mayfield under center, and they're actually putting up some points there in Cleveland. That may limit the upside of Alex Collins, and he may become goal line touchdown dependent. I would much rather start Buck Allen. I can see them using Buck Allen in the passing game a lot more this week. Something to exploit the Cleveland defense, match him up with some linebackers there in the slot, get him more opportunities, and then he also has that high touchdown upside. He gets the majority of the goal line carries. I'm going to sit Alex Collins, but if you have Buck Allen, he's a start for me, mostly as a flex play. Let's talk about the Browns now. Let's talk about Carlos Hyde and give me a Nick Chubb. Now, Nick Chubb didn't need a whole lot of work last week to get a whole lot of production. Only had a couple carries and turned it into over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's not normal. If it is here week to week, apparently he's the greatest of all time. But until he can start to get more production, more consistent production, volume-wise in Cleveland, I'm going to sit Nick Chubb. But he's definitely somebody we need to keep our eye on. If he starts to take away work from Carlos Hyde, it could be somebody that we need to scoop up and could be a potential flex play for you. Going forward, though, I'm still starting Carlos Hyde. This is an offense that is putting up points led by Baker Mayfield. They're putting up a lot more points than they're used to in Cleveland, and that's because Baker Mayfield is able to throw the ball down the field. The defense cannot stack the box against the run. They're having to play the pass also. It's opening up running lanes for Carlos Hyde, and he has a high touchdown upside. I'm going to start Carlos Hyde this week. Giants and Panthers are next, and I'm not spending any time on this game. If you have Saquon Barkley or Christian McCaffrey, I don't care how big your league is. I don't care what the scoring format is. Both of these guys are must-starts. Dolphins and Bengals are next, and we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on the Dolphins. I mean, if you got Frank Gore or Kenyon Drake, I'm not starting either of them. It's obvious now. I mean, whatever happened with Kenyon Drake in Miami, for some reason, he's not a part of this offense. He needs to be. He's a superior talent, but he's not. They're going to continue to throw the ball at a high volume there in Miami. And for right now, I'm going to sit both Drake and Gore. Neither one of them are getting the volume and have that upside that I'm willing to count on week in and week out. I don't even care who they're playing. Yes, the Bengals defense is not what you would call elite. However, yeah, I'm not even tempting the backfield in Miami right this second. On the Bengals side of the football, you have Joe Mixon and Giovanni Bernard. Now, if Joe Mixon plays and he starts for the Cincinnati Bengals, I will put him in my fantasy lineup this week. If they trust him this quick after a surgery, they're really not too concerned about the knee issue. Giovanni Bernard did suffer an injury there at the end of week 4, couldn't finish the game, and we really don't know how limited he may be here for this week. If Joe Mixon starts, I'm going to start Joe Mixon, but until we find more information out about that injury to Giovanni Bernard, right now I have him as a sit here for week 5. Raiders and Chargers are next. We'll start off with Marshawn Lynch to me, who is a must-start this week and probably for the foreseeable future. He's as solid of a running back, too, as you can possibly get. He had 20 carries for 130 yards last week. He looks great. He looks like the beast mode of old, going up against a middle-of-the-pack defense in Los Angeles there for the Chargers, and he's highly involved in this game. In this game plan there for the Oakland Raiders. He's somebody who should see close to 20 touches a week. Very few running backs in the NFL that get that many touches. For me, he's a must-start this week for the Raiders. On the Chargers side of the football, you have Melvin Gordon and Austin Eckler. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and sell you on Melvin Gordon. You need to start Melvin Gordon. He's one of the best running backs in fantasy football, and he should be a mainstay in your starting lineup. Austin Eckler is very intriguing this week also as a flex play. He's somebody who could be highly involved in the passing game. Keenan Allen was banged up at times last week during the game. Whether he becomes limited at some point or not this week, we'll have to wait and see. But Austin Eckler is definitely somebody with some PPR value as a flex play. In a pinch, if you have somebody on a bye, maybe you had Jordan Howard or Tariq Cohen. Hopefully you didn't have Peyton Barber or counting on Ronald Jones for these bye weeks. But if you need somebody in a pinch, you have somebody who's hurt, looking for a bye week fill-in, Austin Eckler is a great flex play this week. Love the matchup against the Oakland Raiders. Cardinals at 49ers are next, and we'll start off with the Cardinals and David Johnson, who has now made it back to the start list. Finally, David Johnson finally started to get some volume. Didn't have a huge game by any means, but he did have 22 carries for 71 yards and a touchdown. Finally, some production from David Johnson. He needs to get this volume every single week. He's got a matchup against a 49ers team who is struggling. CJ Beathard is not exactly an elite quarterback. Didn't look bad last week, though, but he's not the same kind of dynamic player that Jimmy G was. So I'm definitely starting David Johnson in hopes that they continue to give him this volume. Not going to sell you on David Johnson. The talent has always been there. He's just needed the carries. Finally looks like Mike McCoy is willing to give him the touches. Going to start David Johnson. On the San Francisco side of the football, we already talked about it. No Jimmy G forces more defenders in the box. Not that Arizona is this elite defense, but you have a banged-up Matt Breida and a very unproductive Alfred Morris. I'm still going to start Matt Breida this week, depending on the injury outcome throughout the week. This guy's been banged up for weeks. He's got multiple injuries, none of which are major, but they're more nagging than anything. Watch the practice reports this week. If Breida is a full go by the end of the week, I'll start him as a flex play all day long. He's one of the top fantasy running backs. I believe right now in PPR leagues, he's running back 17, so he's getting the production, and he does have that pass-catching upside. Alfred Morris isn't doing a whole lot in this offense. He can't get anything going on the ground. Matt Breida is the guy to own in San Francisco, and if you need a flex play, Matt Breida would be it for this week. But like I said, monitor those practice reports. We need to make sure he's healthy before we just throw him out there. Vikings at Eagles is next, so we'll start off with Dalvin Cook and Latavius Murray, and I'm going to be real blunt with this one. I'm sitting both of these guys. I want no part of the Dalvin Cook hamstring injury right now. No idea how that's really going to play out. I don't want to take a risk, kind of similar to the whole Leonard Fournette thing. I don't want to take a risk of him playing and not being able to finish the game. I'm going to sit Dalvin Cook. Latavius Murray could get great opportunity this week. However, they're going up against the Philadelphia Eagles, which are an elite run defense, one of the top run defenses, actually the top run defense in all of football. I want no part of the Vikings run game this week. I highly expect a lot more throwing, kind of similar to what we saw last week there with Minnesota, and I'm going to sit Latavius Murray and Dalvin Cook this week. For the Eagles, you got Jay Ajayi, and I got a question for you guys before I go any farther. Who remembers Big League Chew, like that bubble gum, that stringy bubble gum that was like in like a tobacco-looking pouch? If you know what I'm talking about, that's basically what's holding Jay Ajayi's back together right now. Like literally not looking good. We've always talked about this guy's knees. Now he has a back problem, and as a running back, taking those big hits every single play that he touches the ball. I really want no part of Jay Ajayi this week. Now, the Minnesota defense hasn't exactly been stopping a whole lot of people lately, but that injury concern for Jay Ajayi is real for me this week, and I'm going to sit him. There's better options, in my opinion, out there. He's nothing more than a touchdown-dependent running back for me here in Week 5. Rams and Seahawks are next, starting off with the Rams, and I'm going to sit Todd. Yeah, right, I'm not sitting Todd Gurley. You're going to start him. Let's go to the love triangle of the Seattle Seahawks. Talk about Chris Carson, Rashad Penny, and now Mike Davis, who is apparently a thing. I have no idea what Pete Carroll is doing. Does Pete Carroll have any idea what he's doing? Can somebody check on Pete Carroll? I'm worried about his mental health. No idea what's going on in Seattle. I'm not playing any of these guys. There's a real chance that all three of these guys get touches this week if healthy. And trying to pick which one it is that's going to be more productive is next to impossible. And I'm not putting my name next to any one of these guys this week. They're all three of us sit. And I don't even have to mention they're playing against the Rams. I mean, that alone is bad enough. Against that horrible offensive line in Seattle, yeah, no thanks, I'm passing. Cowboys at Texans there on Sunday Night Football, and yep, you're starting Zeke. For the Texans, you got Lamar Miller, and he had another Lamar Miller-style game last week where he had 14 carries for 49 yards, didn't even finish the game for an undisclosed reason, whether it was an injury or the coach is just irritated or whatever it is. We're all irritated also. I'm going to sit Lamar Miller until we can figure out what's going on with that running game in Houston that kind of seems to be leaning on the pass a little bit more. There's a chance that Will Fuller sits this week. If that happens, fire up Kiki QT, who is an amazing name to say, but I don't even know if I'm saying it right, so whatever. But yeah, Lamar Miller, I'm passing on him this week, going up against a Dallas front that has proven to be somewhat troublesome at times. And yeah, he's not being productive as is. I'm going to sit Lamar Miller. Monday Night Football, you got the Washington Redskins and the New Orleans Saints. So we'll start off with the Redskins side, talk about Adrian Peterson and Chris Thompson. I have Adrian Peterson as a sit this week. He's coming off the bye week, yes, but he's still nursing the ankle injury. And the Saints' run defense is a little underrated. They're the 6th-ranked run defense as far as giving up points to opposing teams' running backs. This is a lot tougher run defense than it is a pass defense, which bodes well for Chris Thompson, who I think has a great opportunity for a high ceiling this week. Chris Thompson's going to be a start for me, kind of close to the running back 2 level. I mean, we just saw it a few weeks ago. He had 13 receptions in a game, and I could see something like that again this week. He's one of the favorite targets of Alex Smith out of the backfield in a game against a high-powered Saints offense where the Redskins may have to throw a little bit more. We haven't seen a whole lot from the Redskins, receivers on the outside. It's been more of the Chris Thompson show, and like I said, love the upside of Chris Thompson. I have him as a start this week. On the Saints side of the football, you have Alvin Kamara. Yep, you're still not going to sit Alvin Kamara. I don't care if Mark Ingram comes back or he never comes back. I'm still going to play Alvin Kamara no matter what. But speaking of Mark Ingram, he comes back this week, and what do we want to do with Mark Ingram? And it kind of depends on the team that you have and the running backs that you currently have. If you had somebody like a Jordan Howard or maybe even like an Alex Collins or Joe Mixon coming off of an injury, some of these guys who haven't really produced for you lately, and you're just looking for something with some upside, Mark Ingram isn't a bad play. there's not a whole lot of guarantees out there that he's going to come in and get the same role that he had last year, especially with Kamara being as productive as he's been here to start the season. But if you're in a pinch and you really need a running back and you're just looking for some upside, I'll start Mark Ingram there. But if you have better options on the bench, you may want to give him a week or two. I know the bye is coming up for the Saints to get back more into the game plan, more into game speed. But like I said, if you're in a pinch, you need a running back with a high ceiling, Mark Ingram is that guy if need be. All right, so those are the running back matchups here for Week 5. I think I covered the majority of people. If you have any questions, make sure you ask them down below. Headliner Nation is growing like crazy. This is a community where everybody helps each other out. Obviously, I can't get to every comment in the comment section as much as I try to. Hit me up, though, down below. I'll try to answer as many as I possibly can this week. But yeah, help each other out. Really looking forward to it. Really appreciate the support. Make sure you guys are liking and subscribing. And we'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.